Zoho is not known for marketing automation as such. They are really known for the operational side of the CRM, which is exactly what Pipedrive is trying to do. So if I were to put them in the bucket, I would put Salesforce, Pipedrive, Zoho, probably in the same bucket, maybe Microsoft, Oracle. All of these are very operational, transactional centric CRM. And then you have the marketing automation, upstream marketing sort of piece, and that is going to be your HubSpots of the world.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. And if you're joining for the first time, this is part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We review one vendor or the solution. And for today, we have a very interesting solution from the CRM portfolio. It's called Pipedrive CRM. So we are going to have a lot of fun discussing that. Before we do that, we are going to start with everybody's intros. I am going to start with my quick intro. Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP CRM digital transformation consulting firm. On that note, I'll move to my stand-up comedian called Andy Predico. He's the shine of the show, I guess. Shine of the show, is that a phrase, Andy, or not?
No, I don't know if it is.
I didn't feel that, right?
My head, I
Shine
think.
is coming from
Yeah. My name's Andy Pradico. I've been involved in ERP software for manufacturers all my life. I've worked all over North America. I've worked with thousands of manufacturers. And I also teach manufacturers on how to uncover the truth before they make a purchase. So thank you so much for inviting me, Sam.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Andy, Stressed, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Yeah, thank you, Sam.
We have a guest here.
I'm sorry about
That's
that.
completely okay. You don't have to be. I mean, he's trying to introduce himself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Shrestha Das, and I'm part of the marketing team at Elevate IQ. And I'm super excited to be here today.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Shrestha. And if you're in the audience joining for the first time, make sure you guys post your questions, comments, thoughts, stories that you might have. We generally include them as part of our reviews. So they are super helpful. On that note, I'll get going with the briefing, guys, if you guys are ready. So as I mentioned, Pipedrive is a CRM, and they are part of our CRM portfolio that we have reviewed a lot of them lately. And I don't remember how many different ones we have reviewed so far. I think we have done Salesforce, Zoho, HubSpot, Microsoft. What else did we review from the CRM perspective? Probably Zendesk. But Zendesk is not necessarily CRM, even though they are sort of part of the CRM bucket. So we have reviewed many solutions out there that are going to be competing with Pipedrive. So as part of this review, we are going to review obviously Pipedrive's capabilities, any sort of marketing announcement, sort of the macro view that we generally like to touch on. We are going to touch on that, and then we are going to be comparing, contrasting with many different solutions out there that we have already reviewed. So hopefully all of that is going to give you a lot of insights, if you are going through any sort of evaluation journey. So overall, I guess, one of the things that we have been mentioning from the CRM portfolio perspective, guys, that you may have paid attention to is CRM is generally, functionally speaking, how these solutions are structured. There are going to be probably 3 or 4 different pillars as part of the CRM portfolio. Number one is going to be Sales Cloud, Marketing Cloud, Customer Service Cloud, Contact Center Cloud. These are the major pillars, of the CRM bucket. Sometimes they are going to be slightly more best of breed, just one particular functionality that they are covering, or it's going to be just the subset of the functionality, but they all sort of fit in this particular enterprise software category or the portfolio, what we like to call. So overall, I guess the way Pipedrive started, and it's a very I would say, elementary CRM, sort of in the SMB market, and that is another layer that we generally like to touch on, as well as bucket every single solution, whether that is going to be SMB or enterprise. With enterprise, you are going to have a lot more layers in general. With SMB, those layers are far fewer, just because they are trying to emphasize the user experience. So you get one thing, either get the scalability, complexity, of the layers for the enterprise scenarios, or you get the user experience. And generally, what that means is you are going to get run into scalability issues, just because they are trying to make it easier from the implementation perspective, from the adoption perspective as well. So Pipedrive has had very, 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 very interesting beginning, because the way they have positioned in the market, a lot of their peers had positioned with the same messaging, but Pipedrive messaging is still working. What Pipedrive is trying to do is still working. So overall, going back to some of the positioning in the market, for example, Salesforce started with the one of the greatest UX, easy to use CRM. That's how they started. Even from the pricing perspective, their pitch was similar. Then HubSpot came along. HubSpot had very similar pitch. Even today, I mean, they are going to probably argue that they are probably cheaper than Salesforce. Their UX is probably going to be better. It's probably going to be easy to use. So now, how come Pipedrive is able to argue and win? They have right now at least 100,000 logos, and probably more now. Based on the research that we have done. So how come these guys are able to win and succeed in the market? And CRM is a very, very, very competitive market in general. So one of the things that Pipedrive has done is they came up with a pitch called greatest UX, and that's been their focus from the beginning. That it's really simpler to use, much simpler than what you are going to find with HubSpot or Salesforce. And then the other things that you are going to notice with Pipedrive, even though HubSpot is going to argue about the same, that okay, a lot of customers come to us when they are trying to consolidate a lot of different solution portfolios, but they are not going to find everything inside the HubSpot bucket. So one of the things that you are going to find natively with Pipedrive is going to be CPQ functionality. Even though
Wow.
CPQ, yeah, so CPQ and the CPQ would have a lot of different layers as well.
Of course.
That's a category in itself, right? Uh,
Yes.
so
And
some
an implementation in itself, usually, too.
Exactly, exactly. So let's say if you're looking for very enterprise grade CPQ solutions, where you have to sort of intertwine your processes with a CAD system, with a PLM system, CPQ could be all over the place as well. Sometimes they are sort of touching the operational boundaries, where they are sort of gathering the data, from the operational system. So it's all over the place when it comes to the CPQ workflows. But let's say if you're looking for basic CPQ workflows, where you need to generate fancy codes, you have to have a little product set up as part of your CRM, and you need to do the quoting right from the CRM itself. For those simpler use cases, your Pipedrive could be a great fit. In general, HubSpot, Salesforce, even Microsoft, the reason why they like to offload this particular offering to their vendors is because each industry is going to have very, very unique CPQ needs, and it's very, very, very hard to create that generalized model that is going to work for everybody, without sort of pigeonholing in a specific micro vertical or a industry. If you are creating a suite for a specific micro vertical industry, then you can plug in a lot, and that's why you would see companies such as your Infor, Apkeen, Apicor able to accommodate the CPQ processes, able to accommodate CAD PLM processes. The only reason why they are able to do it is because they are flavoring and tailoring that solution for a specific industry. Again, each of the approaches are going to have pros and cons. So here, the CPQ is going to be slightly more generalized. Now, for how many businesses that is going to work, that's probably going to be a question. But hopefully, for the startup SMB companies that are not going to have very complex CPQ use cases, they are looking for very simpler codes, then this could work. And that's why they have this as part of the solution. Um, the other problem, and companies that have been on many different CRM systems may have noticed, for example, let's say if you have been on HubSpot, one of the things that HubSpot does is, obviously they have a free tier. They are going to position themselves as free CRM. But as we all know, Andy, there's nothing free in this world. Literally nothing. So here, what is going to happen is HubSpot is going to get you as a lead. That's what free means, and that's what they are trying to do. So basically, it's a lead generation play. A lot of different CRM systems, have that as part of their offering. And once you are going to become the lead, then the upcharge is going to be far more substantial to recoup the cost for the freemium layer that they had offered for free. So that's how the majority of the premium offers work. Now, HubSpot pricing could be very attractive in the beginning. That's how they are designed. It's almost like, I'll get you foot in the door, but once you are inside, then we'll have fun together.
All bets are off.
Yeah, exactly. So the pricing increases substantially with HubSpot. And one of the major points, okay, where they really increase the pricing is going to be when you are going to use any sort of product. Because from their perspective, the way they like to define their customers, target market is if you have a product, most likely you must be a money-making business. So as long as you are not making money, they are okay to offer that for a free. But they are trying to, find out, okay, when companies are making money, and based on that, they are trying to define their pricing model. So generally, with product, there was a substantial upcharge, with HubSpot product price group, price books, not groups. That's when they were charging a lot. And once you are at that tier, then your pricing becomes substantially more, even more than Salesforce. Can you believe this? Which is obviously the more expensive platforms in the market. And then there was another layer called sales enablement. And sales enablement was a very interesting play as well. So for some of the Salesforce customers, and I don't know how far back can you guys go in your CRM maturity, expertise, experiences that you guys have had. But there was a tool called Yesware, and Andy Stresta. I don't know whether you have,
Yesware? No,
Yeah.
never heard of it.
So Yesware, was the tool, one of the sexiest tool. I would say that was designed for more of the sales enablement workflow, more of the one-to-one communication. It was very, very, very interesting. I think they are still there in the market. They are barely surviving. But one time it was really big hit overall from the sales enablement workflow perspective. They were the one who sort of introduced this whole one-to-one communication between salespeople, but that was done more from the campaign perspective. So rather than getting the newsletter, you were still getting very personalized email, but that was sort of the templated, overall, from the sales enablement perspective. So they started this trend. Obviously, they were hanging out in a lot of different ecosystems. Whether you talk about Salesforce, HubSpot, Close.io was a very successful CRM as well. They are still there. I don't know how long they are going to survive, but they still have some market share, I guess. So they started this journey, but HubSpot or Salesforce never sort of included the whole sales enablement workflow. And that's what Pipedrive is trying to do. So Pipedrive is including your sales enablement. They are including DocuSign, they are including product, CPQ, projects, and then they have a slightly more global perspective as well. So that is the true differentiator for Pipedrive, and they are doing really, really good at this point of time. They are funded by one of the very large private equity firms. So Pipedrive is definitely not going anywhere. It's a very good product, very successful product, different marketing strategy. I would say this is more of the bundle innovation. It's more of the pricing innovation, and obviously UX as well. But that is not to say that it is comparable to your Salesforces of the world or HubSpots of the world. They are moving sort of towards the upper mid-market or the enterprise market logos. So they are going to have far more scalability as part of their model. Pipedrive is designed for very SMB-centric market, and their competitor is probably going to be Zoho right now. Zoho is probably the right segment, but even Zoho has very enterprise-centric logos now. So I don't know where you draw the line, but this is going to be for the elementary use cases, not for very large logos, I would say.
Do you know the price point at all, Sam? Or
I think we have some slides, and
okay, all right.
Yeah, we have. I mean, it's going to be slightly different pricing structure. So they start from roughly what $18-20 to go up to $100 per user, even though it might not appear substantial. But once you start using them, then you would know how much you are paying per year. overall it becomes very, 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 very expensive from the CRM footprint perspective as well. So here, overall, I guess their background is going to be pricing, UX innovation. That's what they have done, and that's how they are able to survive. Overall, in terms of the competing technologies, I would say Salesforce is going to have a lot more enterprise-centric focus. Much bigger logos. Pipedrive is not going to have the same scalability. It's going to have much lower scalability, even from HubSpot. And HubSpot is also struggles with very complex, I would say, use cases where you have to customize or you have to change the look and feel of your standardized sales process. So if you have very standardized plain vanilla sales process, then any CRM could work for you. But for the most part, most industries are going to require very deep customizations, and that's why customization matters, with CRM. So that's why Salesforce is more of a platform, I would say. That is probably they provide the most customizability, out of all platforms out there. That's why Salesforce is probably the most successful. Microsoft is designed for those enterprise use cases as well. You can literally change everything that you would like. So it's a fairly complex product, but when you are able to change all of that, then obviously your consulting efforts is going to increase. Sometimes they are going to have low code, no code, and sometimes it's going to be the real code that you need to do to be able to change. With Salesforce, Microsoft, you are probably going to have to deal with the real code if you have to change that, and that's what drives the consulting cost for with these solutions. Oracle is going to have very similar positioning. SAP, very complex enterprise product, but you're going to get the scalability. HubSpot we have already touched. Creatio is sort of the no code, low code app. So again, the consulting money is going to be required to enable all of those workflows on top of Creatio. It's a very technical model, so you're going to have a lot more scalability compared to Pipedrive. And Zoho has very different pricing, very different strategy. It's far more customizable compared to your Pipedrive. So let's say if you have plain vanilla sales process, easy implementation, then you might want to go for Pipedrive. If you have slightly more complex use cases, then probably Zoho is going to be a better fit. They have some beginner marketing automation capabilities that they have bundled. So overall, I would say, Sales Cloud, Marketing Cloud, these guys are following very similar strategies well in terms of accommodating all of those capabilities, as part of the bucket. So that's why they acquired one company for the marketing automation capabilities. I'm not going to claim that they have the enterprise grade capabilities. What you're going to find with Adobe or even ActiveCampaign probably is going to be really rich overall in terms of their depth. But they are going to have some marketing automation exposure. They don't have any exposure to field service as far as we are aware. They just don't have that, so they are probably not going to be fit for those industries. And then contact center is not there at all. So most likely they are probably going to be hanging out with Zendesk's, of the world for those capabilities. The industries where you are going to find them, even though their data model, the process model that you have is not very customizable, but they offer very similar industry packages the way you are going to find with Salesforce, which is very compelling because you're not going to find those with any other CRM vendors in the market. Zoho does not offer, Microsoft does not offer, HubSpot does not offer. So unless you are going for very industry specific packages, you just don't have that. So that's going to be another differentiator for Pipedrive. So one of the things that you're going to find with Pipedrive is they have financial services package, and they have some very specific modules such as your loan origination, agency workflow. All of these are going to be very specific workflows or the modules that the financial services clients are going to require, and Pipedrive is providing all of those capabilities. So that's going to be another differentiator that we have for Pipedrive. And then they have a lot of exposure in real estate as well. I don't know how much functionality they have real estate specific. Salesforce is probably going to have very specific cloud for real estate. The way they have for insurance, banking, they have pretty much for every single service-centric industries that they target. They have a lot of capabilities for that. Pipedrive is not going to have that. At least as of today, they must be building all of those workflows one at a time. But their approach seems to be slightly more global. They are targeting a lot more global customer base in Europe and Asia, and they are providing the localization as well as the capabilities that they are going to require, for the global rollout, global installation. That's what they are providing. But overall, the app is very small. So when I say global, meaning if a company is going to be present in 2 different locations, most likely they are probably going to have completely different instance, for those locations. So let's say if you're a very Germany-centric company, they might have capabilities for that. They might not be the best fit for a company that might be operating in 20 countries. Just a minor clarification there. They do a lot of business in SaaS, tech, marketing, professional services, e-commerce as well. So we are going to review their capabilities in terms of how they look. But before that, we are going to cover some of the news stories that they have recently covered. So this is coming from 2018. Overall, I guess they started in 2010. So right now, 14 years in the business, fairly new vendor, I would say. Overall, from their presence perspective, they had roughly 75,000 logos in 2018. So obviously it's a fairly successful CRM. But let's not talk about the size of those logos, because some of those logos are going to be one man shop, and those are going to be millions and millions of them. And if you compare apple to apple, that's nothing for Salesforce. For Salesforce, even one logo is probably going to have 75,000 users. So I don't know where you draw the line, but even though they might have a lot of logos, the number of logos are going to be fairly smaller for Pipedrive. The size of the logos, not number of logos, size of the logos. Size may be higher. Okay, so this is the announcement for the financial services, and they had mentioned some of the very specific functionality that they have for financial services. For these ones, they have roughly 370 financial institutions, and they are saying that they have analyzed all of these sales organizations, and they have come up with a common model that is going to work for everybody. That's not how sales organizations work, in my experience. Everybody's going to have very custom needs in general, especially from the CRM perspective, and that's why the scalability is really important. But again, if you have vanilla sales process, this might still be okay. Here they are talking about 4 different modules. So if you compare this with likes of Zoho or HubSpot, then what you have to do is you probably need to develop these processes. You might find some of these capabilities as part of your Salesforce. Let's say if you go to their financial services cloud, then you are probably going to find loan origination, agency management, leasing, HR. I don't know why they are doing HR here, which should be part of your ACM functionality, but seems like they are including that as part of the CRM bucket as well. So which is very interesting. If you guys have comment, I can take those, or I can move to the next one.
No, that's great. Thanks, Sam.
Of course. So this is the announcement. But before the announcement, I guess, one of the points that I wanted to touch on here is they claim that they are the only CRM that is built more from the salesperson point of view. And when they say from the salesperson's point of view, how we describe that, and Andy, I don't know whether you remember my commentary from last few sessions, is I have been big proponent of upstream marketing versus downstream marketing. Upstream marketing, versus slightly more operational transactional CRM. So when they say first CRM platform built from the salesperson point of view, what they are talking about is that the whole transactional, the operational view, because in the sales world, you are going to have a lot more transactions compared to in the marketing world. Marketing world, you have different problems. You are going to be doing a lot more integration with different technologies, different platforms. You are going to be doing a lot of tracking, but as such things are not as serious that you require the transactional integrity, transactional, consistency, I guess. Here in this world, in the operational world, things are slightly different. And that's why you are going to require a lot more relational centric model, relational databases in these processes as opposed to your upstream marketing. So Pipedrive has the real, the CRM, the operational CRM, the transactional CRM. So basically, if you really think about it, it's a real competitor for Salesforce, potentially for Zoho as well. Zoho is not known for marketing automation as such. They are really known for the operational side of the CRM, which is exactly what Pipedrive is trying to do. So if I were to put them in the bucket, I would put Salesforce, Pipedrive, Zoho probably in the same bucket. Maybe Microsoft, Oracle, all of these are very operational, transactional centric CRM. And then you have the marketing automation upstream marketing sort of piece, and that is going to be your HubSpots of the world, Pardots of the world. It's going to be your Adobe of the world, etc., and maybe MailChimp. So that's how these categories sort of differ, and that's how they are bucketing. If you go to any of the CRM vendors in the market. They generally divide this with Sales Cloud and Marketing Cloud. Sales Cloud is going to be the transactional operational side of CRM, and Marketing Cloud is going to be slightly more collaborative side of integration omni-channel side of the CRM, I would say. Here, so now coming back to the announcement, this is coming from 2020. So they are saying CRM company Pipedrive today announced that it has acquired MailGen. MailGen was the marketing automation provider of a cost-effective. And when you read the marketing messaging, one of the things that you might be able to notice is this is probably going to be very similar to your MailChimp. Very, very, very similar offering. MailChimp is not meant to be enterprise offering. It's supposed to be very SMB offering. And that's the target market for Pipedrive. And that's the reason they acquired MailGen, which might not be as expensive as your MailChimps of the world. So here they are talking about provider of a cost-effective, easy-to-use email marketing automation solution, MailGen. But one of the points that you're going to notice once we review their capabilities is that MailGen, even though it was a very small solution, but they had far more omni-channel capabilities, and these omni-channel capabilities were only available with HubSpot. So when I talk about omni-channel, meaning you are going to have traceability with your, for example, your website, email, these are given, right? Most CRMs are probably going to have that. But when it comes to your SMS, WhatsApp, social media, that's where the real trick is. And I don't know how many vendors can support all of those. Some of the e-commerce side of things, the marketing automation software that are going to be doing a lot more business in the e-commerce space, they are going to have a lot more penetration towards WhatsApp, because WhatsApp has become one of the primary channel in the e-commerce centric communities. Here, it's going to be slightly different. So they are able to support email, SMS, which is commendable, because even HubSpot, I don't know if they have native capabilities as of today. Maybe they do, but they launched all of these capabilities very lately, I would say. They didn't have all of that, even though they were always claiming that they have the omni-channel support, but even they didn't have all of these channels. So here, if you look at some of the capabilities, so I'm actually going to start with email automation. So email automation is going to be behavior-based automation workflow builder with segmentation, survey, and triggered response tools facilitate more precise targeting, the ability to deliver what customers want and when they want it. Now, my Microsoft colleagues are going to argue that even the CDP product is the same. It is not. Marketing automation product is very execution centric. It's very different. This is the real marketing automation product. Then you have dynamic email content makes creating and delivering personalized HTML content easier. So you are going to have a lot more capabilities in creating the email template, landing pages, etc. You are not going to have those capabilities from the marketing branding perspective with Microsoft of the world. They are going to be much better, I would say, with the AI data-centric capabilities, with merging, again, data is probably the right keyword in terms of defining their capabilities. So that's why they are not marketing automation. This is marketing automation. Then they have the e-commerce enabled email marketing messages like a shopping cart, abandonment emails, and product education email series. In general, likes of the HubSpot likes to stay away from B2C e-commerce centric verticals. And the reason why they do that is because e-commerce is a very different play. You require very different data model. Even though a lot of companies might claim that, they can do both B2C, B2B, that's not how it works. Either you are B2C or you are B2B, unless you have data model built for both of those processes, which is very rare. Again, B2B is going to require very complex data model, and B2C is going to require very, very, very flat data model, but that is going to have much higher transactional volume. Accommodating all of those as part of one solution becomes very tricky in general. And that's why 90% of the real CRMs are probably going to be B2B, and they are going to offload that process to something like POS or loyalty solutions. They don't get into those CRM workflows. And then you are going to have another CRM which is going to claim that, okay, now I am B2C. I'm probably going to collaborate with POS. So you have fragmentation in your customer state right there. Then you have some more capabilities here. Email marketing, they do a lot of A/B testing. That is something you are not going to find in your what is that, the CDP product, even though they might claim that they are marketing automation. You have subscriber list management.
Would you describe A/B testing? I know what it means, but I'll bet most of the audience does not.
Yeah. So A/B testing is going to be when you are going to do any sort of test based on the outcome that you are expecting. So from the marketing perspective, let's say if you want to test a pop-up or a landing page or a messaging, and you are looking to see what's clicking with your audience, you would do A/B testing. But A/B testing, the only reason why they are mentioning this is to grab on keywords. These days, if you're going to say you can do A/B testing, that's like saying we can do mainframe. Uh, because everybody's going to have some sort of multivariate testing that they are going to require. It's no longer just the A/B testing.
It's no longer unique.
No longer usable, I would say. Yeah. It's
Really?
probably because the number of combinations that you have in terms of what you need to test to be able to get the real insights, you will have multiple variables. The whole idea of A/B testing was that you are changing just one variable, in your testing. So when you are testing, let's say you are sending out an email campaign, Andy, and you do sales and marketing for living, right? So in your case, let's say you are sending out, your goal is going to be to learn something from that campaign, which particular message is working, you are going to have
Exactly.
some
Which
sort
one
of
gets
criteria.
more clicks? Which one gets more opens?
Exactly.
And move forward with that message.
Yeah, so you are going to filter your list based on a certain criteria, and then as part of that criteria, you're going to have multiple variables. It's not going to be just one variable that you are going to use for the campaign, right? So that's where the differentiation is. But A/B testing, multivariate testing, they are, fairly similar things.
So it's not that valuable anymore, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but I mean, these guys are writing from the marketing perspective because most people relate with the A/B testing. They are not going to recognize, okay, what the hell is multi? They don't even understand maybe, what that is, even though they are actually using multivariate testing, but they are going to call A/B, loosely. Okay, then you have subscriber list management, and that's a big piece of functionality as part of your marketing automation product. That itself could have its own data layers. The way your subscription list management needs to be monitored, managed for each of the channels, you're going to have a very different list. So again, very different piece of functionality, and seems like they have that. So again, Pipedrive is a real suite, I would say, for the SMB. Even Zoho is not going to have all of these capabilities. They might have some capabilities, but they're not going to be as deep. So Pipedrive is really strong in some of these cases. And then obviously they have social media as well. Social media, SMS, they have private email invitations. And this private email invitations, I would say this is going to be for surveys. So that's going to be sort of the Qualtrics SurveyMonkey sort of play. They are doing this more from the NPS customer service perspective. And then they also have the private email for the DocuSign centric workflow, because they are able to accommodate all of that so that you don't have to buy DocuSign as well. We are going to touch on that as well. So they have a lot that they are able to package as part of the offering, and which is highly differentiated in my mind. Okay, so one more slide here. So this is going to be from 2020 as well. So they are saying that they are trying to expand in South Korean market, and I don't know any CRM players that are actively promoting in the South Korean market. So which is very interesting. And since they are going to have the CPQ capabilities, for that you would require taxation, and that's why the geo matters. So anytime you are going to get into the product tax functionality, you have to localize it for that specific market, or it's not going to work. And that's why Salesforce, HubSpot, they don't like to get into this. They want to create a platform that can work in many different markets, but again, you can go only so far, and you are going to require a lot more add-ons to be able to support those geos and localization. And that's why these guys are really calling out that we are expanding, and we have a very specific version for this market, because I have to support my taxes, and this is a baby functionality. Literally, you need to support the taxes for the codes, which is not everything from your operational processes perspective, but this is where the complexity is of multiple geos, multiple localizations. So not only you have to support the language, but you also have to support the taxes, you have to support the pricing, currency, the way people read, everything. But at the same time, the Pipedrive overall, the process model, the UI is not going to be as customizable. So even though they are able to provide the flavored version, but you will not be able to change that. For example, let's say you call a deal or an opportunity in US and Canada, they call deal. And if you have to change that, sometimes there could be challenges. Even with HubSpot, that's not allowed. Can you believe this? So there are substantial challenges overall from the customizability perspective in these platforms.
So with HubSpot, you can't change the fields.
You can't change the name of the object. So
Okay.
if it is a deal, it's a deal. You take a deal.
Right.
You have to change yourself, Andy. Come on.
You change your own terminology, your own language.
Yeah, and sometimes that could be very frustrating because sometimes you are going to have industries. Let's say if I'm a not-for-profit, I have zero clue what a deal is.
Right.
And renaming that shouldn't be that difficult, right? But it's just not built for that scalability, this minor scalability. And with ERP, you can literally change everything, I guess. That's how customizable ERP platforms are. And people complain that they are difficult. They are difficult for a reason because they are providing you the scalability that you need. Okay, so moving right along. So this is the announcement coming from 2020 as well. And here, I think they have got one executive from Zoho. That's the right target segment. Zoho and Pipedrive, they are definitely competitors. That's why they got their president and now hired him as a CEO. So very interesting play there. This is some more announcement overall from the UX redesign perspective. And this was the menu change. And this is the side menu. And guys, I don't know how familiar you guys are from the UX design perspective. Traditionally, large majority of the software platforms, they had a menu up top, meaning you have to click on the menu. That was very slow, frustrating experience for users. And then everybody sort of changing, towards the left. And this is the cloud native experience. And in the desktop world, you had very different interaction. But in the cloud native world, the left menu was a big deal for a lot of companies. Even today, Salesforce does not have that. Can you believe this? Even though it is supposed to be one of the most modern platform, they are investing so much in R&D, but they don't have the left menu. Pipedrive was the first CRM vendor, can you believe this, to introduce the redesign for the menu. SAP had already done in their ERP, Oracle, Microsoft, everybody had done. Even Microsoft CRM had that probably in 2018, 2019, when every other enterprise software vendor was trying to innovate. Salesforce was always behind. Okay, they had launched their Lightning UI, but even Lightning UI was very behind. They really struggled with the Lightning adoption overall. So Pipedrive was the first CRM to be able to introduce that. HubSpot is doing as of today. Can you believe this? HubSpot is doing as of today. Zoho already has all of this, as far as my understanding goes. Yeah. So this is Pipedrive is ahead of the pack. Overall from the R&D perspective, the way their code base is, my fascinating company. The only business objects that you're going to find with this is going to be deal, activity, person, organization, product, and probably projects. Okay, those six, which is extremely, extremely limited in my mind. Okay, so this is going to be much smaller product than HubSpot. And if you want to understand the size of any enterprise software, you can literally look at their business objects, how many different they are supporting, and then you can assess, how big the software is. HubSpot was a very, 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 very small package, but they probably have more than this. Obviously Salesforce is humongous, no questions there. Zoho has much deeper functionality, but they are limited to a data center, to an app. That's why they are able to provide much richer functionality. Their data model is far richer in general. That's why they are able to support enterprise grade scenarios. Here, this will really struggle. You will outgrow very quickly for industries that are going to have sales process that is going to be off from your mainstream sales process. You have plain vanilla lead, opportunity, account, close, move on. Easy peasy. You can use Pipedrive, no big deal. But if you're going to have complications, please look at some other solutions and have some consulting budget as well. Okay, here this is the slide about their the quoting functionality or the DocuSign. So they have all of these processes natively built as part of the package, which is a big deal, guys. So now you don't have to pay separately for DocuSign. They are able to provide all of that. They are able to maintain a lot of different workflows. And HubSpot is really proud of the workflows that are going to happen in the marketing world, in the pre-sales world. Here, this is the real deal. This is happening in the sales world. And those notifications are going to be far more meaningful than the ones that are going to be in the marketing world. I mean, both could be equally important, but this is far more important, at least in my mind. So they are able to do a lot more natively, which is just fascinating. HubSpot, Salesforce, they all rely on different providers to be able to provide this functionality. They don't have this natively. Some other announcement here. So 2020, they had announced that they were part of the Samsung App Stack. So for whatever reason, they have really big alignment. This with major technology providers, and the OEMs, I would say. And generally, this push comes from private equity if you are going to have very, very, very large private equity behind you, generally they are looking for platform play. They are looking for one-to-one scenarios, and that's how they get into these larger markets. So they are recommended by Samsung to all of their whoever is going to be on Samsung app stack. So again, this is another sort of flavor for the Korean market that they are making big push from the government perspective as well as from the OEM alignment perspective. So again, guys, these guys are trying to go global very hard. I don't know if any other CRM vendors are able to do that.
Is a Samsung app stack, is that a going concern?
What do you mean by going concern?
Is it
Yeah.
Is it popular?
So Samsung, the Samsung company.
Yeah.
So what is Samsung? Samsung is probably the second largest electronics provider, or maybe first.
Yeah.
I don't know where they are right now in terms of
big. Yep.
market capitalization. They are probably going to be number one in Korea market, right? When they say app stack, what it means is they have their, and I don't know if this is a TV marketplace or some other marketplace, but you are able to list your app on their marketplace. So every single user that you're going to have in your ecosystem is going to have access to that. So a lot of people are going to be installing. So that's a big deal. At least for the Korean market, they might have a lot more offerings in general that they might not have for other markets, and yeah, that could be a reason why we might not be familiar with Samsung app stack, because we are not using that on a daily basis. But that's going to be something like you are part of Apple marketplace and you are able to sell your app through Apple marketplace. That's a big deal for smaller startups in general. So that's what it is. But going concern, 100%. Unless Korea is going down, which is not happening, that's definitely a going concern. Yeah. Okay, so here some more comments. 2020, by the way, this is a very interesting move as well. So this is the launch of Lead Booster. And I don't know, guys, whether you understand this play or not. So what Pipedrive started doing is they have started combining a real database as part of their CRM offering. Okay, so when I say database, meaning this is going to be the database of company data, contact data, and ND. I don't know which database you use right now for prospecting. One of the most common databases in the world are going to be ZoomInfo, DNB, Hoover's, of the world. There are some newer players as well, but these are probably the databases. So now what CRM player, let me go back to the data vendors first. So what data vendors started doing is they are building a lot more CRM capabilities. So now what CRM vendors have to do is they have to catch up with them because data is far more meaningful than the platform. So now what the CRM vendors are doing is they are combining the data capabilities, packaging data capabilities as part of the product itself, and they can do a lot more in general with that data, meaning with AI, you can literally create your workflow in the autonomous fashion, and you can identify every single visitor for your website. That's how powerful this deal is. And Pipedrive was the first company that started this, the real integration. HubSpot, I think they did this in 2024, 4 years late. Salesforce, I don't know if they are ever going to do that. So again, very, very, very different play, especially for the SMB market. And this is, they are going to provide pretty much everything out of the box, and again, this is going to be a big differentiator compared to Zoho, because I don't think Zoho is ever going to do this. Zoho is very well aligned. I would say, what is that? Apollo is the data company. They sort of go along with them. So everybody has their own alliances where they sort of hang out. But these guys are trying to, have their own database. Salesforce acquired one data company as well long back. I don't know how successful that acquisition was in terms of providing the capabilities. But Pipedrive is the first company that launched this. HubSpot sort of followed their league, in terms of the capabilities. So very, 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 very interesting capabilities and power that they are able to provide. So now, because of that, they are able to do a lot more from the AI perspective as well. And this is the lead feeder, capability that ZoomInfo offers. There are some independent vendors as well that are offering this capability where they are able to. So let's say if you have a visitor on your website and they did not fill up the form, so you don't know who visited the form. Now they are able to correlate that data and able to find, which company may have visited. Obviously, they are still guessing, but they are able to provide some insight in terms of who that visitor is. So you can attract all of these or target, all of these visitors. Now, again, that is all combined as part of the CRM suite, which is extremely, extremely, extremely powerful in my mind. Only two companies right now, Pipedrive and probably HubSpot, are the only two companies. And HubSpot just acquired the data company. So they are sort of moving there. They are sort of catching up with Pipedrive. Some more comments here. So this is one more penetration. South Korea and Japan were two major markets for them that they really targeted. Again, I don't know a company that was really strong in these markets. By the way, their roots are from Europe. They are, Estonian-born company. Estonia. How do you pronounce that? Estonia. Estonia.
Yeah.
Estonia. Okay. So Estonian-born, they have very similar roots as Odoo. Odoo was born in Belgium, I believe, right? So this is very similar as well. And they obviously their target market is going to be deeper into Europe as well as Asia as well. So that's why they have South Korea and Japan. Now they have launched a Chinese product as well. Okay. So and that's why we are looking for ownership. Okay, who's owning that? Because if you are going to have a US based company, then there are going to be challenges in penetrating Chinese market, at least from the CRM perspective. So right now they are penetrating Taiwan, but they are going to have real problems in the Chinese market, even though they are launching that. So we verified their ownership as well. It's all run by the US. It's not European management. So in my mind, I think there's going to be a little challenge there, but at least they have the localization for the Chinese market as well. The other comment that we have overall from their education strategy, there are only few software companies that have done education strategy really well, and one of that is Pipedrive. Odoo did that, Acumatica did that, SAP was always big champion of penetrating markets through education. Microsoft is a big one, Oracle is a big one. So these are probably the vendors who really target this more from the education perspective, and these guys are able to do a wonderful job there as well. Again, private equity is very, very, very smart and sharp with the go-to-market strategy. Some more comments here overall, from their alignment perspective. So here they like to go along with Asana a lot, and this is going to be the pointer where you can sort of deduce that they are going to be penetrated in the professional services space, and then you have to also understand the alignment. For example, let's say if you look at the way their actions are coded, if you look at HubSpot, their actions are going to be fairly neutral, overall from the workflow perspective. But here, if you notice their actions, they are able to sort of hand over that workflow to solutions like Asana or ClickUp, so they have much tighter alignment. And sometimes the reason why they have that much tighter alignment, because both of these companies are going to be part of the same private equity portfolio. So there are going to be pros, there are also going to be cons of how they are sort of aligning together. But let's say if you want to be on Asana and if you are trying to choose this platform, then this could be a great benefit that they are going to be very tightly aligned in general, even though you are dealing with two different vendors and two different solutions. Japan, they are growing a lot. And do you have a comment?
Just curious, how long has Pipedrive been around?
Since 2010.
Okay.
Since 2010, yeah. Yeah. Any more follow-ups?
No, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so if you guys don't have anything else, let's talk about this one. So one point that I wanted to hit on here is overall the telephony integration. And in this particular case as well, they are lining up with, I would say, Cloud Talk and Just Call. We saw similar scenarios with Zoho as well. So every single CRM vendor is aligning with some sort of telecom providers because that's where you're going to have a lot more CRM workflow. So these guys have that alignment as well. This is the pricing slide, Andy, that we are looking at. We were talking about. So their pricing model is very different. So again, this would require a little expertise in understanding which one is going to be cheaper for you, because CRM vendors are very crafty, very, 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 very crafty in their pricing, and they sort of know when they are going to get you. You are not going to understand that. Okay, they are analyzing this on a daily basis, and they are changing their pricing strategy on a daily basis as well. And especially if this is going to be private equity backed, they have the research engine running in the background to get more revenue out of you that you are not even going to realize. So again, very, very, very smart. So here, some of the things that I want to hit on is the differences, right? So obviously this helps with the penetration as well, and you are going to see this in their comparison slides. So for example, let's say if you look at the whole product capabilities, Pipedrive is going to claim that if you're going to go to HubSpot, you are going to pay probably in 6 figures if you want to get product capabilities, and these guys are including that as part of every single platform. When I say platform, meaning the pricing structure or pricing tier. So that's a huge benefit. So depending upon how you are trying to use it, what the process design is, that would drive how much you are going to pay. Across these, it's not going to be apple to apple comparison where you are looking at $34, maybe HubSpot is $64, but your final cost is probably going to be very different from what you are noticing here. So you would require a lot of expertise to be able to compute your ROI and TCO from the pricing slides. So here, for example, sales enablement, right? This is all included as part of the basic bucket. Generally this would be included in very enterprise-centric plan, or you are probably going to require an add-on for that. Now, let's look at the e-signatures. If you go for DocuSign, and DocuSign is literally charging per document, that's how expensive DocuSign is. And that is the only thing that they can do. And here, obviously, you are able to do that, but a lot more. So this is a big deal, guys. And then you are going to get the integrated, experience as well, aligned with the processes. So, and again, they are able to include all of that as part of the basic plan. Now, if you want to do anything advanced, lead routing, etc., that's probably going to be part of your enterprise plan with Salesforce, HubSpot. You will not be able to do this. Now, they are including that as part of your basic plan. Now, Power Plan is very interesting as well. So here, they are talking about project planning, tracking, and delivery. You can never do that in the other platforms with such small plan, which is wonderful. And then you have unlimited reports and customizations. Okay, so now this is tricky because now this is almost like $100, and every single company is going to require some customization. So they are probably going to be on this one. So this is not as meaningful, right? Unless you are running very, very, very vanilla sales process, then it might be okay. But 90% of the companies are going to require a lot of customizations. So again, dig into details. If you want to understand what is going to be your final cost, you might end up paying a lot with every single CRM vendors. That's how crafty they are. I'll pause there. That's for the presentation. I'll take any comments.
Well, the bat, the reason why I asked you how long they've been around is that there are so many CRM systems out there.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many ERP systems out there. There's so many, and we talked about configurators. There's so many of these, and you wonder at what point does the market get saturated? Because there are so many already to choose from, but this one's been around for 14 years, so that's pretty substantial. But you know what I mean, right? I mean, Salesforce, of course, has taken the market by storm, but they're very expensive. Zoho is competitively priced.
Yeah.
It's interesting how there's room for all of these products.
Yeah, Pipedrive is definitely market leader, and obviously in any market category there are going to be solutions, but Pipedrive is
they're doing great.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. More comments, more follow-ups. Shrestha, do you have anything?
I feel Pipedrive has done a good job in the SMB sector, and they will provide a good option for them. But then again, as you said, dig deep into what you are getting for the price before jumping into something.
Exactly, could not agree more. Great comment. Any more follow-ups, guys?
Well, it's a comment you made on the 5 different tiers of pricing. Just scanning at it quickly, it's difficult to figure out which one you really need without getting some professional advice.
Yeah, and this goes, from the transaction perspective, right? So it's not going to be just brief analysis at the process level and somehow you figure out the pricing, because this is going to be per email, per document. So you have to estimate those transactions. Now, if you are doing this professionally, and sometimes it's going to be literally the message hit the way the message is going to hit in the background. So how do you estimate that? Even technical people might struggle with that.
It's tough to empirically compare, that's for sure.
Yeah. So just don't look at the bucket pricing, because they don't mean a lot. Any more comments, guys? All right, guys, if you don't have anything else, that's a wrap. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our industry series, for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are going to be here next week. We are going to come back with another vendor or the solution. On that note, thanks everyone for tuning in today.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.